Hello, I want to thank everyone for joining our webinar today on Social Security planning. My name is Margaret O'Meara, and I'm a financial advisor. I've had my practice for 20 years, really focusing on retirement planning and also investment management. So we're going to share a lot about Social Security planning today. And for those of you that have been on these webinars before, you know I do like to ask questions, and I like to take some breaks because it's going to be really, what's great about it, you're going to learn a lot about Social Security because we'll have a lot of information coming your way here. So the brain teaser, Social Security. In life, would you rather be early or delayed, pay a penalty, or get a bonus? And we're going to be talking about this more as we go forward. Okay, so Social Security seems kind of straightforward. There's a lot of people that say, you know what, I'm 62 years old. I've paid my dues. I want to start getting my payments back. And that is one strategy. What I've seen is that Social Security is actually very complicated. And depending on when you take Social Security or you and your spouse take Social Security, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars of difference in income flow over your lifetime, depending on how that choice is made. So I think it warrants time and effort and energy in looking at that. So also, I like to put a couple little trivia questions in. So how many hearts does an octopus have? Actually has 3 hearts. The giant Pacific octopus has 3 hearts, 9 brains, and blue blood. So their hearts aren't quite as strong as ours. They can't pump it through the whole thing, so they have to have 3. So again, as I mentioned before, people are hurting their retirements by making terrible, costly decisions about Social Security. Okay, so you can take it whenever you want. What I want to help out with is just showing you the difference in payments over time, over your lifetime, when you choose different options. Okay, now I do have handouts that I'm going to be emailing you after the webinar. If anyone is listening to the webinar afterward and would like copies of these handouts, please feel free to email me and I will get those out to you. In addition, we do a customized Social Security analysis we can for you as well. Okay, so some things to know about Social Security. You have many claiming options. There's like 22,000 different choices and ways that you can take Social Security, okay? The decisions do have far-reaching consequences for you and your family. It definitely impacts both spouses, and we'll be getting into that a little bit more. The system is not bankrupt. It's not a Ponzi scheme. You probably, my father passed away when I was young. He was only 45, and my mom got Social Security benefits after he passed away. And that really helped my mom with her needs at that point in time, financial needs. And friends, Social Security is super complicated. So you want to make sure you're talking to people that know what they're doing. Okay, so some questions. Will Social Security, that we'll be answering in this, generally at least exploring in this webinar. So will Social Security be there for me? Most likely, yes. How much can I expect to receive? We'll talk about that too. When should you apply? How can you maximize your benefits? And will it be enough for you to live on in retirement? If you're in New Jersey like I am, probably absolutely not. But so you want to understand the value of Social Security. So will Social Security be there for me? So this is from 2019, so we'll have to see what happens after 2020 with COVID, not as many tax receipts coming in. And I do think that, since not as many people were working, there wasn't as much money going into the trust. So 2018, the trust had $2.895 trillion in it. In 2019, total income was more than the expenditure. So there was actually an increase of $3 billion in assets. So it did grow in 2019, the trust did. So there are some projections. A lot of people say that, Social Security is going to run out and things like that. So if you look at what the government has right now and the way the program is working, there should be enough money until 2034, okay? At that point in time, basically the expenses exceed the income. So then you're getting, folks that are, maybe 15 years or so from retirement may only get 80% of the benefit, okay? It will still be there. You're just not going to get as much money out of it. So what would it take to really make this solvent over time and not have folks having to take 80% of their benefit? So basically, they can increase the maximum Social Security earnings for tax. So if you make in 2021, you pay your 6.2% into Social Security up until $142,800, and then above that, you do not pay any Social Security tax. Okay, so that's one thing they could do. They could raise the normal retirement age. They did this a couple decades ago. So now instead of the 65, it goes from 66 to 67 as to when people get their benefits. So that could be increased. You could also lower benefits for future retirees. So grandfather everyone that's getting benefits and then lower them for future folks. Or you could reduce the cost of living adjustments. And so in general, Social Security's cost of living goes up about 2% a year. I do think that that doesn't keep up with inflation. And there have been years there's been a few years in the last 5 years where they didn't, well, at least 1 year when they didn't increase the Social Security benefit at all. Okay, so that's another thing that could happen. So generally, if you're a baby boomer, if you're 60 or over, I don't think your benefits are really going to be affected by Social Security. Those who are younger, I do think it will be in some way. So what's a clearer way to think about Social Security? Social Security really is, it's kind of like a pension. It's an inflation protected income. You paid into this thing every paycheck, and we just want to make sure that we're making good decisions about when to collect. I mean, putting 6.2% of money away every payroll period into Social Security, we expect to get something back from it. So Social Security does offer income. The way it's constructed, it offers income you can't outlive. Okay, so if your monthly, if at regular retirement age, if your monthly benefit is $2,000, then you'll get, if you live 10 years, $276,000, 30 or more years, you get over $1 million from Social Security. Okay, so this benefit is worth quite a bit of money. And if you were to buy, let's say, like an annuity that would pay you 50 grand a year for your life, it probably would cost about $2 million. Okay, so Social Security really does provide quite a bit of benefit. This actually just shows the cost of living adjustments, what the payments would be. So you start at $2,000, in 10 years is $2,438, and then over time in 30 years it goes to $3,623. Okay, so that's a 2% cost of living. Now the cost of living could be more or less. We'll have to see, what happens going forward. So how much can you expect to receive? How do they work this all out? So it's how much you earn over your working career, and then when you actually start to take benefits. Okay, so this is going to be different for everybody, and this can change. But at 62, each year's earnings are tallied up, and they do this now, right? Like, so if you've been working, it'll tell you, I can go in. I've been working. Well, actually, I've been working since I was 12, but on the books since I was 14. So I've been working for a long time. So they probably do have 35 years worth of earnings for me in there. But at 62, they tally it all up, take the highest 35 years of earnings or averaged. That's the average index monthly earnings. And then there's these three different like bend or break points to get to your primary insurance amount, which is the amount of money you get at full retirement age. And then you get this cost of living adjustment each year. So let's say you turn 62 in 2021. And you've hit the maximum Social Security earnings every year since you're 22. Okay, so your average monthly earnings are $11,098. So then they had these breakpoints. So for the first $996 the month, you get $896 of that, 32% of the next, and 15% of the next. Okay, so 32, 62, 72 is the amount that you get at full retirement age. That might be the most. I think 3,400 I've seen a month for someone at normal retirement age. So this is close to the highest one. Okay, so that's the amount that you're going to get. That's how they work the formula. So it's not simple or intuitive, but this is kind of the way they do it. Or that is the way they do it. Okay, taking a little bit of a break here. So with everything that's happened in Texas lately, power outages in the US are mostly caused by what? Wind, snow and ice, squirrels, birds, or lightning? And the answer is squirrels. They chew up all those wires and everything. Okay, so that's good to know, but why should I just start taking Social Security at 62 instead of delaying it for 4 or so years or even age 70? So if you claim early, your monthly benefits will be reduced, and you would never really can get that back, right? Like once you take it, there used to be a way where you could pay it back, and there's all kinds of schemes that go on Social Security. It is pretty complicated. But basically, claiming early can hurt. You could get reduced for taxes and Medicare premiums, okay? And benefits could be withheld if you work. So here are some things to think about. When you apply, what's your health status? If you're very healthy and you have longevity in your family, you may want to claim later so you get a bigger benefit over time. Again, if you think you're going to live longer, you may want to get the higher benefit. If you need the income, you might need to take it sooner. Whether or not you plan to work, if you're working, Social Security gets taxed, and some benefits are withheld. And then also survivor needs. So if you're in a situation where you have maybe a 10-year age difference between you and your spouse, whoever's a higher earner may want to wait a little bit longer, so that the younger spouse, or assuming the older spouse has a higher Social Security amount, you may want to wait. So there's just all different things to really consider when you're applying for Social Security. And will Social Security be enough to live on in retirement? Most likely not. It provides around 30% of income for people. Actually, 28% on average for all Americans get their income from Social Security, and 72% of it comes from other places. So here's the different full retirement ages. So when you achieve full retirement, so you'll see 66, and then we go up to age 67 for now. And it's a long time to be in retirement. If the average person lives between 84 and 86 years, you're really in there for, close to 20 years. So what happens if you apply for early benefits is that if your full retirement age is 66 and you do it at 62, you're going to get a 25% reduction in benefits. Okay. If it's 67, you're going to get a 30% reduction in benefits. Okay. And you get 100% at 66, 100% at 67. Okay. So this does make a big difference over time. Your situation might be different. It may make sense for you to take it at 62. So what if you applied after your full retirement age? Well, you get an 8% credit every year, okay, if your full retirement age is 66, okay? Well, for both. So 66, 100% at your normal retirement age, and then 8% more each year. And you can see that if you delay, it's much better to be in the lower bracket, lower age, because you're going to get a lot more than if your normal retirement age is 67. So if you want to estimate your benefits, they used to send statements, I think it was like 6 to 8 months before your birthday. They do not do that anymore. Everything's kind of online. When you go online, just be prepared, because you have to take a picture of your driver's license, and you have to really prove who you are to get onto that system. But these are the different websites that you can go to. There are some calculators on there as well. You can estimate the benefits that you're going to get. Okay. But most of us are still working. So it will change. If you're still working and continue with what you're doing, it'll probably be higher. If you go to a job that's not as lucrative or what have you, then it might be lower. It will most likely be lower. Okay. Why delay benefits? Bigger checks to start. So if your normal retirement age, full retirement age is 67, you can see the reduction in benefits and then get the 100. So this is benefit without COLA. So the 100 is you're at $3,000. With a COLA from 62 to 66, you're not going to get there. You're not going to get to 2,800. You might get to like 24 or something potentially. And then with a COLA, you can see it even gives you an extra jumper on there. Okay, so why delay the benefits? You can get more income later on. That's a reason to do that if that's what it's right for you and your needs. So claim at 62, claim at 67, claim at 70. You can just see for how long you live, how much the benefits are. So this is, $4,500 almost, which is pretty good. Okay, so how can you maximize your benefits? So you just want to take a look at, you want to make sure you get what you're due. So you want to make sure they have 35 years worth of income on there on your Social Security statement. See if there's any missing years, and you may want to improve it by working longer. Okay, so you just want to do the best you can to improve your earnings record before you get to full retirement age, if you can. So again, you want to try to get the most you can out of the system. So you want to look at your income needs, again, life expectancy and spouse's life expectancy. Okay, so is it normal retirement age? Is it less than normal? If it's less than normal, you think you might go before 82, 84-ish, then maybe you want to take it sooner. Okay, so all these things go into these illustrations. And now let's talk about the taxation of the benefits. Okay, so if you apply for Social Security before full retirement age and you work, $1 in benefits will be withheld for every $2 you earn over $18,960. Okay, so you're gonna get the benefits back, but they're gonna withhold them for now. Okay, at full retirement age, they're gonna adjust all this. I don't know what that calculation looks like. It's probably pretty complicated, but that's what they do. So you can still work and collect. I talked to somebody the other day. They want to work and save the money. It's a situation where one of the spouses is a good age difference, and so that makes sense for them. And the illustrations look good for that. So you don't want to let the annual earnings test discourage you from working. And if you want to avoid the earnings test, wait until full retirement age. Okay. So this is if you go early. So this is taxation of benefits. Okay, so in the income, they do take your adjusted gross income plus 1/2 of your Social Security benefits plus interest. So if you have a lot of municipal bonds, this is actually included in this provisional income number. Okay, which is interesting, a little tricky. And then it just shows based on what you're making, how much of your Social Security will be taxed. Okay, so a lot of us are going to pay tax on Social Security. This kind of is how it is, but that's what you do. Okay. So ways to minimize taxes on Social Security. So reduce other income with tax advantage investments, retirement plans, anticipate requirement of distributions after age 72. They could throw you into a higher bracket. Convert traditional to Roth IRA because you won't pay, if you have Roth, you don't pay income tax on that. So it does not impact your adjusted gross income. You can delay Social Security, which reduces number of years of benefits you're subject to tax. So that's a good thing. You want to reduce your expenses, pay down debt, adopt a simpler lifestyle, continue to manage taxes to retirement. So just, got to be aware of what's going on. I do think taxes will be higher, so we got to just make sure we're doing the right things. So if you receive Social Security at 65 and older, Medicare Premium Part B is deducted from your check. Okay, it goes from $148 to close to $500 depending on how much you make. So if you take Social Security earlier, when you start paying that back, it's going to be a higher percentage of your check. Okay, so that makes sense. So Part B premium, $140.50. If you got $2,600 as your premium, the amount you're going to get at full retirement age, it's going to be 8% of your check versus at 70, it's 5%. Okay, so that's kind of normal. When to apply for Social Security? If you apply early, your benefits lower and stay lower for life. Cost of living adjustments can really help and magnify that impact. The longer you think you're going to live, the better it is to delay the benefits. And you just have to look at the taxation and see, about the Medicare premiums. And then also when you delay benefits, it can give surviving spouse more income. Okay. So some people say, I'm not going to live long, so why don't I just claim my benefits when I can? So you can. For couples, you always want to maximize the higher earner's benefit to protect the surviving spouse. Okay. So let's talk about that a little bit. So the spousal benefit is half of the primary worker's amount that they get at normal retirement age. Okay. So if John's payment is going to be $2,000 a month and Jane's is $800 a month, and when Jane goes to apply, if she waits till full retirement age, guess what? She gets half of his. So she doesn't get the 800, she actually gets the 1,000. Okay. When John passes away, then she gets stepped up to his full amount. Okay. So for spouses to get benefits, a primary worker must have filed for benefits. The spouse must be at least 62 years old to get reduced benefits or full retirement age benefits, and no delayed credits on spousal benefits over the full retirement age. Okay. So for a spouse, if your Social Security is going to be less than half of the other spouses, you should claim at full retirement age to get the half. You're not going to get any benefit from waiting longer. Okay, so that's important. And we want to make sure we're coordinating spousal benefits. Okay, where lower earning spouses amount is more than 50% of the higher earning spouses, they both delay to age 70. One spouse takes advantage of spousal benefits as allowed. So this maximizes the lifetime benefits over the average or long life expectancies. Okay. So the longer you wait, the more money you're going to get if you think you're going to live long. There's also something that looks almost as good when you on pretty much every illustration I do, where the lower earning spouse's Social Security amount is less than 50%. The lower earning spouse claims early. The higher earning spouse claims at age 70. Okay, so it just really, you get income sooner, and it maximizes the higher earner's income over both lifetimes. Okay, so if you want, we can do an illustration for you. There's usually 4 or 5 scenarios that are generated, and again, I'm always surprised at the difference in each scenario. Just by waiting a few years here and there, it can make hundreds of thousands of dollars differences to what you get in income. So a little break here. So where was the first Caesar salad made? Italy, Spain, Mexico, France, or the United States? And guess what? It was 2 Italian guys served it in Mexico. So they lived in San Diego and opened a restaurant in Tijuana during Prohibition, so they could also serve alcohol. And Cardini Caesar and his brother had the restaurant, and he made the first Caesar salad in 1924. And Caesar salad is one of my favorites, so it's a good thing. So let's say you say, well, I'm already widowed or divorced. How does that impact my Social Security strategy? So you could be eligible for divorce, for benefits, survivor benefits or divorce survivor benefits, okay, or divorce spousal benefits that can really increase your monthly check. So survivor benefits depend on when the deceased spouse made when they claimed Social Security. Okay, so if they claim it before full retirement age, they won't get as much money. Okay, if after full retirement age, then you get the full retirement age amount, and then you'll also get delayed credits. Okay, so that's really good. So hopefully, if you are a survivor, that your ex-spouse or deceased spouse claimed at or after full retirement age. So the survivor benefit will depend on the age the widow claims the survivor benefit. So before FRA, again, you get a reduced benefit. And if survivor claims at full retirement age or later, the survivor benefit will equal 100% of the original benefit. Okay, so you don't get a lot more for that. Okay. So if the spouse dies while both are receiving benefits, the widower can switch the higher benefit. Okay, so let's say, for example, Joe and Julie are married. Both are over full retirement age. Julie is getting $2,000 and Joe's getting $1,200. Julie passes away, and then Joe gets kicked up to the $2,000. So example of delayed claiming, again, Joe and Julie are married. Julie's PIA is $2,000. She files for Social Security at 70. Her benefit is $2,560. She passes away. So then Joe does get the $2,560. Okay. If he claimed the survivor benefit at 60, his benefit is 71.5 of 71.5% of 2,560 or 1830. And if Joe claims the survivor benefit full retirement, then he gets the full amount. Okay, so you get to take it over as if it were hers. So part of this is couples have to be married for 9 months as of the date of death. Survivor needs to be at least 60 for the reduced benefit. Okay, so if you're not going to get it any earlier than that unless you're disabled. And if you remarry as a survivor, if you get remarried, all bets are off before age 60. You're not going to get any of that other money. Okay. And divorce spouse benefits are available if the marriage lasted at least 10 years. Okay, so 9 months if death, 10 years if divorced. So divorce spouse benefits are same as spouse benefits. Okay, if the marriage lasted for 10 years, if the person receiving the benefits is unmarried, they're at least 62, and the divorce was more than 2 years ago, the ex-spouse does not need to file for benefits. Okay, so you can go in and file for benefits on your own. And it doesn't matter. It's funny, my mom, after my dad passed away, my mom got remarried, and she married a man that I think ended up having 5, maybe 6 wives. He lived a long time. He might still be alive. He'd be in his late 90s. And he, all of those wives, if he was married for 10 years, can get his Social Security. It doesn't matter how many times you're married. Okay, so they're all independent. So nothing's dependent on anyone else. Okay, and then if they got remarried, if these ladies got remarried, then all bets are off if they get married before 60. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty complicated. I was surprised. I read books on this stuff, and there's a lot of different rules. So we talked about these things. So in life, would you rather be early? Do you want to take benefits early and start getting paid? Or do you want to wait and get more money? Do you want to pay a penalty? So you get, those reductions 25 to 30% if you start at 62, or do you want to get that bonus? So it's things to think about. So again, we don't want people hurting their retirements or making terrible, costly decisions about Social Security. Okay, so especially when you have folks living a really long time, and even generally now, a lot of folks I work with, the man was a breadwinner. You want to make sure that the wives are taken care of. You make sure you're taken care of over time. So you want to make sure we make the best decisions, about Social Security that we can. It's a big component of your retirement income. So even though you won't be able to retire on it, but it's still worth quite a bit of money and helps to defray lots of costs. So Social Security offers inflation protected income you can't outlive, including benefits for survivors. Okay. Your monthly benefit, like we talked about, will be reduced if you claim early. Couples should always maximize the higher earned benefit for the surviving spouse. If you're widowed or divorced, you may be eligible for benefits that can increase your check. Okay. So we need to just take all this stuff into consideration. It's not real cut and dry. So again, I can help out with a personalized Social Security claiming analysis. If you want to take me up on that, just send an email. We can do a preliminary meeting and we can take care of that for you. And then we also want to consider Social Security with pensions. Okay, pensions are going to be regular income tax. IRAs, 401ks, you got to take required minimum distributions at 72. Look at your investment portfolio and work. So there's lots of other things that kind of come into play in addition to this illustration that we do. Okay, so everybody's going to be a little bit different. That being said, everyone is different, and this disclosure here is just to say that this is educational, and this is not any of this, what we talked about, any of this advice, the stories I've given are really general and not for anyone specifically. So you need to talk to your own financial advisor, or you can chat with me and we can understand your situation better and help you in that way. Social Security personnel can estimate benefits and tell you the amount you're entitled to. They cannot do the type of analysis that we're going to do for you. Okay, so, and they're not going to talk about strategies and other things that are coming in with other taxes and stuff like that. Okay, so again, we can take a look at when you should apply for Social Security. What if you want to keep working fine? What happens with that? What if you've already applied for Social Security? How much will your benefit be? Coordinating spousal benefits. So what do you do next? So, I'm here to help with any questions you may have with regard to Social Security and how it's going to impact your financial future. Okay, so let us help you protect your nest egg and maximize your income in retirement. And if there's anything you need, Social Security planning analysis, just let me know. And I'm going to just put up my contact information so you have it. Okay. Thank you very much.